everyone, and welcome to another episode of Speaking Plain English. I am your host, Roberta, and today we are going to have a very interesting topic. And before we begin, I would like to let people know that this may be something that's just a little touchy. We are going to be talking about child loss. So, just to give a heads up for those who this may be a trigger for, what we are going to try to do is we are going to try to let some people tell their stories and let other women know that are going through the same issue, that have gone through and are going through the same issue, that you're not alone, and that there are things that we can do to help. And you can also, you can heal, and everything will be okay. We'll just put it like that. I have two wonderful guests with me today. I have my sister-in-law, Ayanna Johnson, as well as my friend, Charisse Stevenson. Just give them a hand as they come in. Yay!
Yay,
Hello,
yay.
ladies.
Hi.
How are
Hello.
you two doing today?
Well,
All is well.
Wonderful. First of all, I want to thank you both for taking the time and the opportunity to join us today and to have this discussion about this very, very touchy topic. I know that it takes a lot of strength and bravery, and my prayer is that through this discussion that we have today, not only will those that are watching, but each of us ourselves will be able to, go through the healing process just a little bit more as we begin to open up and discuss. Are we ready, ladies?
Yes.
I'm ready.
Okay, so Ayanna, I'm gonna start with you, hon. I just would like for you to introduce yourself and just pretty much give a little synopsis of your story.
Sure. My name is Ayanna. I'm a spoken word artist and author. I have authored 3 books, but the last book is My Journey Holding On to Faith Through Grief. It was a book that was birthed out of experience. Um, the experience, I wasn't expecting to make it a book. I wasn't expecting the experience, but the experience was of my um, biological child, the loss of my biological child. I um, I lost my son in my 34th week of pregnancy, and that was completely unexpected. I hadn't had been having complications, so it wasn't expected at all. And after that time, that was in 2016, and after that time, I went through a process of grief, a process of healing, a process of faith throughout that entire time. So that's a little synopsis of why I'm here.
Wow, thank you so much. And maybe at some point we'll be able to get your information later so that we can, for those who would like to see, get access to that book, we will definitely be able to have that information disclosed if we can. Is that okay?
Sure.
Awesome. And Charisse, my darling, let's hear a little. I would like for you to introduce yourself as well. Let's hear a little bit about your story.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for having me on Speaking Plain English. My name is Charisse. Um, I'm an author as well of a trilogy called Unnamed and Unwanted that's actually bringing awareness to verbal and emotional abuse, as well as other traumatic experiences such as this. I have no children. I was once pregnant and had a miscarriage and have not been pregnant again. Um, Again, my prayers to you, Ayanna, again for your testimony. My testimony is not as for long as yours. I believe you said 7 months.
34.
Right. Mine's happened. Um, it was over as quick as it happened, but it did a lot of psychological damage to me that I still struggle with to this day. And now it would have been 15 years ago. So that's a little bit into my story.
Wow. And just to well, thank you again, Charisse, for telling your side as well. And we will also have a moment towards the end where we'll be able to get information for your trilogy as well. Um, just a little bit. One reason why this topic is such a touchy thing for me personally, as those of you who watch the show will come to know. One thing that I want for this, for Speaking Plain English, is I want us to be able to, talk about things that are kind of taboo and things that aren't necessarily brought out too much, and those things, type of things that are hush hush. This topic for me personally it is touchy because I've been through a total of three miscarriages actually. Nope, four. Sorry, it's been four, and all of them honestly were my first one. I remember my first one it's pretty much how Charisse's story was, how it just as quickly as I found out, and the way that I found out was actually a joke, to be honest. I was working and I don't know how we got into the discussion, but for some reason or another, my coworkers and the manager, we were all talking about, people being pregnant and things like that, and they were all joking with me, saying that I would probably be the next one pregnant, and I'm like, no, there's no way in the world. And so what I did to prove them wrong was I actually went and went to Planned Parenthood and got a test, and the thing came back positive, and I said, wait, what? What do you mean? And then they, I said, can we, test that and try that again? And then sure enough, it was positive. And I'm like, okay. And so just as quickly as I found out, the following day, actually, I began bleeding. And so I'm like, wait a minute, there must be something wrong here. So I went back to have it test because I thought that my period had begun. So I went back to have them test again. And they said, well, you need to go to the test is still positive, so you need to go to the ER. Come to find out, I was miscarrying. And that kind of that messed me up in my head just a little bit. And it's a sad thing to say, but for me, it was a bittersweet experience, because I'm like, I was 19 at the time, and I'm like, I didn't want a child, but I had already accepted, that I was about to have one. So for that to happen, and then for things to just turn around just that quickly, it was like, oh wow, like what? And so from then, and then there was a couple of other miscarriages that I had. All of them were actually within the first trimester. And there was one other one that happened, I want to say almost a little over a year ago, which I didn't take a test or anything like that, but I knew. After I had two children actually before that one happened, but I did know, and for some reason my cycle was longer. It was very, very late, and my cycle was longer than when it came. It was like way longer than usual, and I just felt something different. And once I went to like, not to be too graphic, but I started to feel something like drop. Like it's a weird feeling that it was kind of like my uterus was dropping. And so I went in the bathroom, and next thing I know, I see what I see, and I'm like, okay, I didn't even realize. But all of these things have, honestly, it took a toll on me, because I didn't realize just how much things like that can actually affect your thought process. It's like, okay, why is my body, rejecting my child? What is wrong with me? What am I doing something wrong? Have any of you ever, went through thought process like that?
I definitely went through a series of thought processes. My son was a full-term child loss. I delivered him, but I also experienced 4 other miscarriages that were within the first trimester, probably within the first 6 weeks. They were considered blighted ovums. I had a miscarriage from a first IVF attempt, and even a failed second IVF attempt. That wasn't what I consider a miscarriage. But so altogether, there were some losses, and you think about a couple of things wholeheartedly. And actually, I'm sorry, I'm having an inner struggle, because something that I wasn't going to say, but I'm going to say. You talk about what processes you go through, what goes on in your mind. And I don't know who's going to hear this, but the first time I had ever been pregnant in life, I aborted the child. First time I had ever been pregnant. And, it was, whoo, that's a relief, at that stage in my life. And then months after that, I started to grieve the fact that I did what I did. And so then I get married, and, I'm like, years later, I get married, and that's kind of far from my mind, right? And then I experienced this. And the process that was going through my mind was guilt. And it was like, God, did I invite a spirit of death into my womb, into my life? This is the thing going on in my mind. Other people connect different things. I've struggled a lot with guilt because of a decision I made at a different place in my life, a selfish decision that I made. I don't know what anyone else's decision is when they do that, but a selfish decision that I made at a different point in my life, it plagued me. And so when my book talks about my journey holding on to faith through grief, holding on to faith was also holding on to worthiness, holding on to, am I even worthy enough to bring forth a child? Did I bring this upon myself? And so when you talk about, Charisse, you talked about the psychological impact on you. And Roberta, you also talked about the impact. I think, and if we're speaking plain English, I think it's really important for people to understand there's a series of things that comes through our minds depending on our specific situation. Now, of course, God had to really minister to me, healing and deliverance and full understanding, because our God is not a God that holds grudges. Our God is not a God of vengeance. But it is something
Please say that again. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but please say that again, because I believe that somebody needs to hear that. Please say that again.
Yes, and it was something I struggled with. But God is not a God who holds on to grudges. And God is not a God of vengeance on us, which is, oh, yeah, you did that, so I'm going to hold this away from you. That's not God, how God operates, but it took me a while to get at that place. That's legalism. Now, you experience all consequences of, whatever actions we do, but it's not this eternal consequence. And guilt will make you think that there's an eternal consequence for your action, and therefore you are no longer worthy of walking in the abundant life that God has for you. But if that was the case, that Christ would never have died for us, we would never have been renewed. We would never be the righteousness of God in Christ Jesus. So even in the midst of situations, God would still tell us that we're righteous. So to anybody, that was my first time revealing that out, and on this show at this moment. So for whomever that is needed, it sometimes your process may be guilt, and that's what mine was.
If I may answer also, I didn't feel that way in what you was explaining, Roberta. My thought process was just, we can be transparent, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. My thought process still is, because I still deal with it. I actually had a moment this past week. Because it gets to me. You're saved and you're trying to do right, and you trying to dot your I's and you cross your T's, and you hold on to the scriptures and you hold on to the word of God, and first seek ye the kingdom of heaven, and all these things shall be added unto you, right? Delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart, right? Okay, right? I got it. I should get a tattoo because I did it, I did it. I try to please God every way possible, because my true heart desire was to have a child, right? And I wanted a child to love the way my mother did not love me. So I guess in reverse, I was trying to fill a void, right? So when I got pregnant, right? Cool, because it ain't about baby mama drama, baby daddy drama. I was like, it was God finally answered me type of thing.
Wow.
Right?
Woo.
And I get that love. I get to share that love because that I didn't get, because we mostly emulate what we experience from a child in our adult life. My goal was to not become my mother. That you know what I mean? Everybody want to act like be their mom and do this, or you want to be like your dad and you want to be like, I didn't want no part of her. I didn't want to be like that because it was nasty, it was hurtful, it was cruel. So I wanted my own child, so I can love my child the way I felt I should have been loved. So when I found out I was pregnant, it was on and popping. I was, look, we here. You know what I mean? And then to turn around a few weeks later and lose it, I don't understand, right? If it wasn't meant for me to have children, then why you allow me to get pregnant? And that's what I think I still struggle with today. That's I can't figure it out. I can't put my hand on it. You know, then people go, oh, you can adopt and you'll be a foster mom. No, I don't want that. I want to be pregnant. I want the process, and I'm going to say it. I want the attention. I want to feel loved, and I want pampering, because I feel, now that we're talking about it, I'm still trying to fill that void. And because that kind of love is authentic. I don't care how many books you read on how to be a mom, how to warm a bottle, how to change a diaper. It's your nurture. You learning as you go. You're learning as you go. Because people sitting there, well, the book said you boiled a bottle for 12 seconds. No, boo boo. You're learning as you go. You know, the way this mama handled little Johnny and his boo boo, Boom Krisha ain't gonna handle Peaches the same way Sally handles little Johnny, because we're all learning as we go, you know? So I wanted that, and that's a void. I don't know if it will ever be filled, or if I will allow it to be filled. I don't know, but it hurts me to this very day.
Roberta, can I say something to that point? Because Charisse made a point that that I connect with, and I think people are going to connect with in a different way.
Yes,
and I think other women will hear this as well. And Charisse was talking about filling the void, the love that she wanted. And I am a stepmother. So I have 2 children that I am raising and mothering that I did not give birth to biologically. And it has been a trial. It has been a process, you know, to mother and to be disregarded, to mother and to be reminded that you're not the mother, to all those sort of things. So when I was finally pregnant with my son, there was 2 things that happened. My son, my stepson, but I just refer to him as my son. He clinged to me more, and I was even. I was like saying to my husband, what's going on? Is this a motherly thing? He was excited about the brother. He clinged to me more. But it was also when I lost my son, I had moments that I broke down, and I remember saying to my husband, I just want a child to love me for me. And let me state something. Both of my parents have been in my life, have raised me well. So to anybody who's listening, it does not even matter if Charisse's experience was hers, mine experience is mine. When you are there and you make that connection it's something, just like Charisse was saying, it's different. A mother being a mother to a child, there's a certain expectation or anticipation of love that's so many things. And so it demonstrated to me, wow, there was a void I had through my stepmothering experience that I was hoping my own biological child would give me. But let me just share what God has done through this time period. And God has been so good in terms of restoring, building up, not even restoring, but building up a relationship with my stepchildren, that I can genuinely love them, and can genuinely release grudges and offenses and everything. And I remember a time that we were all together having family prayer. And, they were asking, wait, do you still want a baby? Do you know when it's going to happen? Blah, blah, blah. And it came out of nowhere, but it dawned on me. I said, if I had to wait just so we could get a place where we are better as a family, then I had to wait. And then I understand the wait. And so sometimes when you're looking to fill a void, or that you don't even realize that you're trying to fill and pacify with our own natural hands, without realizing that, what, we can't pacify. Who knows? If in that mindset, would I have treated my biological better than my other children? Would there have been division? Would that open the door for the enemy? But what I know is that my relationship with my stepchildren is so much better than it was at the time when I was pregnant with my son. And I also know that God, there isn't a void that I can fill myself that is only meant for God to fill. I'm talking about there's only a void that God is meant to fill. And when I saw something that I didn't realize was there, I was like, oh my God, this has revealed something more to me. So does that mean the loss was worth it? No, I still have moments. I'm not consumed by the grief, and that's the grace of God. But I still have moments that, of course, I think about my son and I miss my son. I delivered him, you know what I mean? So I held him in my arms. But I understand the journey, and I'm every day understanding a little bit more. And I just wanted to speak to that void, because Charisse, is not just you, and anybody else listening, they're going to realize, wait, was there a void I was trying to fill, or did I realize there was another void, or was there something else? And God just has an opportunity to kind of work in that. There's no condemnation to them that are in Christ Jesus. That was the scripture that kept coming to me when I was thinking about the guilt process. But, I want to throw that scripture out there as well.
Wow, that was good. That was very, very good. And for those again who are watching, I want you guys to hear that, and I want you to take that and understand. And it keeps coming back to me, like there's whatever feeling of guilt there may have been, or whatever feeling of a void, God is absolutely able to fulfill it. Absolutely. And I know it's easier said, it's something easy to just throw out there, but I mean, I'm telling you, it's because think about it. If he wasn't able to fulfill it, you're here still, and I understand that the thought process still goes through your mind and you still have those thoughts and things like that. But at the end of the day, your strength is still there enough to go through day by day. And somebody needs that strength. Somebody needs to know that it is possible to have that strength. And so I'm going to ask another question. So let me ask you both. Charisse, we're going to start with you. So during your time, when you lost yours, how was your support system? Did you have a support system? I'll ask you that. And if so, how was that?
No, I did not have a support system.
Okay.
It happened so fast. I really didn't have time to tell anybody. No, I didn't have a support system. I was also in school. I was in college, and it was finals. So I had a miscarriage at 3:32, 3:33, something like that in the morning by myself. Not to be graphic, but soiled the bed, soiled the sheets, did all I had to do, right? Popped some pills, cleaned up, did what I had to do, cried myself to sleep, went to school the next day, went to work, went to school. Somehow I channeled my situation towards school. I was doing well. I was preparing for finals. That happened. I went to school, did what I had to do, took my finals the following week, still didn't really deal with it. I'm school oriented.
Right.
School. Went the following week, took my finals. After I finished with my finals, I went to the doctor. I went to Planned Parenthood first, and they were still able to check because I remember I didn't clean anything. I mean, I showered, bathed, but medically I wasn't taken care of. So they were still able to identify the fact and confirm that it was a miscarriage. Went to Planned Parenthood first. We went through all of that. And then I think 2 days, yeah, I went there on a Tuesday. Then on a Thursday, I actually went to the hospital and got a complete checkup and physical, and they confirmed what Planned Parenthood had said, that it was a miscarriage and it was due to stress. So let me say
Oh,
this. I lost my baby due to stress. Stress is very real, and stress is a silent killer.
absolutely.
Hear me, whoever's watching this, hear me. Take care of your health physically, emotionally, mentally. Okay? And it wasn't until I was in the hospital, I called a few people and told them what had happened. So it wasn't so much that I didn't have a support system. I really didn't tell anybody. Now, if you're looking for a bright side, the bright side is I made the dean's list that year. You know, but maybe if I was more focused on me than passing on my finals, maybe I'd be in a better state of mind today about it. But no, I didn't have a support system because I really didn't have time to tell anybody. By the time I told everybody, it was already over. So,
do you think that that may have helped you a little if you would have mentioned it to someone, or if you had some people there to support you through the process?
I definitely would have had people to support me. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
The world is waiting on a mini Charisse. They are waiting patiently. They believe in karma. But yeah, I believe I would have had a great support system, had everything planned out well, and people knew. Yeah.
Okay. Ayanna, how was your support system?
Wow, Charisse, that's just a sign of how we're, sometimes programmed to be super women. Still
Yes.
celebrate that in spite of. I get what you're saying, but we're so charged to be like, you know what, I got to keep going. And it's like we're in this superwoman frame of mind, that sometimes that's how we are. That's how we function, right? But I'm getting so many nuggets from this as well. But I had a wonderful support. I had two types of experiences. I had a wonderful support system. Everybody was waiting for me to, give birth to my son. People were excited, and when I lost some people, grieved with me, and grieved in ways that I didn't know until a little bit later. And they struggled with their faith, similar to how I was because of this similar experience. But my family, everybody was there, and just by my side. My husband was by my side, my extended family, were all just really there and supportive for me. Directly after giving birth to my son, though, I was in a new church environment, and it wasn't the best place for me to be. The new church environment, the pastor was great. He just demonstrated so much love on us, but I was in a place where people didn't really know me. So I felt like I was the plague. I had people 2 weeks prior that were celebrating, oh, you about to give birth. And once I lost it, said nothing to me. Walked past me, looked at my stomach and walked away. Stood next to me at the door and looked to the side and didn't speak. I only had one person from that environment to reach out and call me and text me and said, and demonstrating love, said, look, I didn't know what to say. One person. But so you got to look at how much I felt like I had my support system at home, my family, I had it, but I was in a new environment directly after loss, and it just made me feel like I had like so much more. So I had this different experience, and it wasn't a good space for me to be in. It was not a good space for me to be in. In that, and it's not that people being spiteful. They didn't have a relationship with me, and they didn't know what to do. They didn't know what to say, even people had similar experiences. They didn't know what to say. And we didn't have a tight enough relationship for them to pour into me. So I had two types of experiences, but I thank God for the support system that I had, that was praying for me, there for me, that, brought food to the house, made sure my kids ate, made sure, just the support system was there.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Ayanna, because that's something that not a lot of people in any type of grief at all. When people are going through any type of grief, whether it's of your child or a parent or a friend, it's hard for some people to it's not, and again, like you said, it's not like they're trying to be spiteful or they're trying to be standoffish. Sometimes people just don't know what to say, and sometimes people don't want to say the wrong thing. And so what they'll do is they'll try to pretend like, oh, they try to make it seem like everything is okay, but they just don't know, what it is that they want to say. And other like than some people who say stuff that makes absolutely no sense. And that's a question that we'll get into in a minute. But I guess those are the two types of people who are those who are, I don't know what to say and I don't want to say the wrong thing. So maybe if I just, leave her alone, or maybe they don't want to talk about it, or, things like that. I actually, I don't know if you guys follow there's a comedian named Tony Baker. Amazing comedian. He's hilarious. He recently just lost his son to, it was a drag race. There were some people drag racing on the street, and he and two other children were hit and were struck and killed. And so he actually released a video just talking about, some things that people have, something that he has experienced. And I kind of want to, touch on that a little bit, where there are people who genuinely care, they genuinely care, but they just don't know what to say, or they won't say anything. But then there are those who are, they don't want to make it seem like they're ignoring you. So they'll ask, they're like, hey, how are you? I'm sorry about your loss. I've heard about this, that, and the other. What Tony said, and I'm like, this makes so much sense, is that there are times when they are like, him and his family are trying to, they're trying to heal. They're trying to go through the process and everything. And they feel like, all right, you know what? I think I'm doing okay today. I'm doing okay. And then somebody calls and asks, no, I'm so sorry. And then it brings it all back again. And so that's something that if you guys, and yes, this is a plug for Tony Baker. I hope if you see this, I hope you shout me out of something. But if you guys, if anybody doesn't know Tony Baker, look him up on your social media, Instagram, Facebook. I don't know if he's on Facebook, but I do know he's on Instagram. There is a video that he has put out there. Say that one more time.
He's on Facebook also, because I follow him.
He is on Facebook. Okay, I haven't seen him I just seen him on Instagram, so that's good. Not only is he hilarious, but this one video that he did, and what he's been doing throughout this entire process, because this just happened, like, I believe last week. What he's been doing is he's been doing things to keep himself laughing as well. And then he'll, post things like, why am I like this? So that's part of his healing process. The one thing that he mentioned that I have, I've taken note of is, yes, we understand, that you're trying to, to express your condolences and express how sorry you are and express that you care. But sometimes what he said to do is give them a minute, don't say anything, just be there. Sometimes just a person's presence will be all, the comfort that's needed. Pray for them, then sometimes it's all the comfort that's needed. Don't go around saying stuff like, oh, God needed another angel to do this, or, God needed another rose from his garden. He needed what? Y'all, do me a favor, y'all. What are some of the most ridiculous things that you have? Maybe gotta, I guess, add a little humor, I guess, because it makes me angry. But what are some of the things that you guys have heard people say in to those who are grieving, or if anything has been personally said to you? Please share. Starting with Ayanna.
But Roberta, I do want to say that each person is different, and I think it is important for people to gauge what where a person is. I had some people that was with me, just would be in my presence, and they didn't know what to say. And when I started to talk, then it made them comfortable to talk and say, oh, she's willing to talk about her son. And there was sometimes I didn't have anything to say. So I think it's sometimes important to gauge where a person is. Sometimes it's not wrong to ask, send their condolences, but, don't just not say anything, you know what I mean? But kind of gauge where they are. But I've had some interesting things. It just wasn't your time.